The Founding Fathers nervously waited their turn in a hallway at the Museum of the City of New York on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Alexander Hamilton and James Madison adjusted their black coats and tightened their ponytails, spray-painted gray. Next to them, George Washington and William Patterson practiced their speeches to the Constitutional Convention, which they had been rehearsing since October during their lunch periods in middle school. About 500 students gathered on Sunday morning to give history-themed performances, unveil exhibit boards and screen documentaries at the New York City History Day competition, the 28th installment of the annual educational matchup. It was the culmination of months-long efforts by students from 32 public and private schools who created projects centered on this year's theme, conflict and compromise in history, a fitting backdrop in a turbulent year in domestic politics and international diplomacy. Some students submitted a project in lieu of taking a final exam this semester. Others were encouraged by their parents. But for many, it was a chance to move on to the state finals in April, and ultimately to the National History Day contest, which is in June at the University of Maryland, College Park. "We're ready enough that we can help each other out if we forget the script," said Kayla Noseworthy, an 8th grader dressed as the nation's first president who attends the Michael J. Petrides School on Staten Island. "But we're really nervous." For months, Ms. Noseworthy and her 3 friends, all girls, researched the Constitution and pored over contemporaneous notes written during the convention of 1787 in Philadelphia. The students then wrote a script for a 10-minute performance about the conflicts and compromises that occurred as the Constitution was being drafted. The compromises in the Constitutional Convention shaped what America is today, Ms. Noseworthy, 14, said. The girls came ready with props, quill pens, a painted canvas of the old Pennsylvania State House, tricorn hats. Before a panel of 4 volunteer judges, the girls reenacted the bickering over representation that led to breakthroughs like the Great Compromise, an agreement between large and small states on a bicameral legislature with both proportional and equal representation. Then they answered questions from the judges' graduate students, teachers, and history enthusiasts who asked about the primary sources they had researched and quizzed them on the convention. "We deliberately chose Patterson and Madison because they argued a lot during the convention," Ms. Noseworthy told the judges. "The girls won't know if their entry is a winner until the March 15 awards ceremony at the museum, when prizes are handed out according to category and grade division. Today, truly, history has its eyes on you," Anthony Lee Medina, who is playing Alexander Hamilton's son, Philip, in the Broadway musical Hamilton, told the students during an opening presentation. Across the street from the museum on 103rd Street, students and teachers flooded the halls of the New York Academy of Medicine, which was also a venue for the competition. An 11th grader from Stuyvesant High School paced the halls, rehearsing her lines as Frances Willard, the 19th-century co-founder of the Woman's Christian Temperance Union. A middle schooler explained to judges how the Treaty of Versailles ended World War I. An extravagant trifold cardboard, complete with toy rockets and Soviet flags, offered an outline of the space race. A brown display board with pictures of marijuana leaves stood behind a potted succulent and explained the contentious history of legalizing cannabis in the United States. Outside an exhibition room, Ella Epstein, an 8th grader from the Manhattan Day School, chatted with her friends as she waited her turn. Ms. Epstein, 13, was one of a handful of students who had crafted an exhibition of a lesser-known, yet consequential event in American history. Ms. Epstein researched the plight of the so-called Radium Girls, female factory workers from the early 1900s who contracted radiation poisoning and successfully sued their employer, leading to safer working conditions and stricter labor laws. This led to a future with more laws so this doesn't happen again and to protect workers' right, Ms. Epstein said. Ms. Epstein explained to the judges how the women painted watch dials with a luminous coating and were encouraged by their employer, the United States Radium Corporation, to lick the brushes to give them a finer point. It turned out the paint contained radium and the women began to suffer from anemia and necrosis of the jaw. She said the paint would eat them alive, Ms. Epstein told the judges, pointing at drawings of the women's facial disfigurements. It would make holes in their faces. A lot of them didn't live to see the day that they were, I forget the word, she added. Vindicated, suggested a judge, a graduate student at Columbia University. Yes, vindicated.